Okay, hear me out. I made fresh homemade bread, and I have homemade from scratch strawberry jam. Now that with the bread toasted with some butter, oh my goodness. This is why I'm still chubby. Like, I baby weight off for what? I make my own bread, my own strawberry jam. Like, it's an issue. But I ain't even gonna apologize about it because, girl, I'm impressed with myself. Mm, yeah. Okay, so this one I'm a fan of just because I'm a stay-at-home mom, and honestly, it can be really hard to be like, "Oh, yeah, what I do is valuable," until you actually put it on paper and you put it into like quantifiable results or data of like, wait a minute. This one task that I take care of for my family, this is what it takes. So.
If I invoiced you for what I actually do for our family every day as someone who doesn't work as a stay-at-home mom, do you want to know how much money my salary would be?
Sure. Send it, ladies. Send it.
Okay, conservatively. As a nanny, you would need me from 8 to 5 while you're at work. And a full-time nanny averages $25 an hour. So that's $225 a day, assuming just 250 days a year. They get weekends. You're home on the weekends, and a vacation time. That's $56,250 a year. But you also need a housekeeper, which is $25 an hour, and there's at least 2 hours of the day where I'm doing laundry, or dishes, or picking up toys around the house, or cleaning pee off the bathroom floor for our potty training son. So that's $18,250 a year. And then you need a personal chef, starting at $6,000 a month. That's on the low end.
I got Chick-fil-A for
Okay, fine. Then I'll give you a discount because my cooking is average. So half off, that's $36,000 a year. And then, of course, you need me as your personal assistant or your household manager for the family calendaring and managing the bills and the budgeting and all the logistics. So that is $30 an hour, which is at least an hour a day. So that's going to be $10,950 a year. And then because of the phase of life we're in, you're going to need some newborn care. So let's just call it 2 hours a night, conservatively. At $30 an hour, that's $21,900 a year. So before overtime, before sick days, that's $143,350 a year.
It's a bargain. Because what you do is invaluable, dude.
Cheesy.
Okay,
So
if I
cheesy.
invoiced you for what?
Let's talk about time. Not in a cute way. Not in a cherish every moment way. But in a real way. Time passing is unsettling. Because one day you look up and you're not the age you thought you were anymore. Your body feels different. Your house sounds at night are different. Your kids are grown. Your parents are aging. Your routines have shifted. And nobody really prepares you for how disorienting that feels. Time doesn't usually explode. It erodes. Mm-hmm. It's quiet. It's the slow realization that something you thought was temporary was actually a whole chapter. And now it's over. That's what gets people. It's not aging. It's not birthdays. It's the closing of chapters you didn't realize you were in the middle of. So how do you deal with that? First, you stop pretending that it doesn't bother you.
Yeah.
It's okay to feel grief over time passing. You can miss who you used to be, and you can miss the version of your house when it was louder, and you can miss people, And you can miss seasons of your life. That does not mean you're ungrateful. It means you're human. But here's where people get stuck. They think the answer is to go back. And we know you can't. You can't reverse it. You can't rewind it. And obsessing over what you would do differently will eat you up every time. And it'll eat up the time you still have. The only thing worse than losing a season is losing the one you're in because you started going backwards. Time passing forces you to choose. Are you going to resent it? Or are you going to participate in it? Because here's the truth that nobody says out loud. You're still in a chapter right now. Even if it doesn't feel glamorous, even if it doesn't feel exciting, even if it feels ordinary, one day, this exact season, the way your kitchen looks, the way your body feels, the way your voice sounds, the way your life is structured, will be something you look back on. And you will think, I didn't know that was a chapter. You are living in the good old days of something right now. You just don't know what part it is yet. So how do you deal with time passing? You stop waiting for some perfect future version of yourself to start living. You start being here. You say the things, you make the memories, you start the project, you mend or end a relationship, you release a person that's draining you, you take the photo, even if you don't like your hair.
And you follow Jesus Christ.
You don't freeze because it's moving, you move with it. Time passing isn't the enemy. Regret is. And the only way to avoid regret is to be brave enough to fully show up in the chapter you're currently in. Even if it's messy. Even if it's different than you planned. Even if it hurts a little. You're still here. Which means it's not over. And that matters. Drink your water. We've got things to do.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk.
I feel bad for Gen Z because they are quite literally trying to push back against every single social norm in an effort to re-level out the playing field for all of society. And y'all keep dwindling them down to these, like, stupid little kids. Like, a lot of them are grown. And y'all keep saying, like, for example, this conversation about corporate America, them getting fired. I don't think it's that they don't know what the social norms of working in these environments are. I don't think it's that they're incapable of doing these things. I think they're not doing them because y'all are not paying them, bitch. And that's what they're saying. And y'all keep sliding past it like, no, they're just dumb and young. And they're like, no, bitch, y'all don't pay no fucking money. Y'all are not paying a livable wage. We don't have no fucking benefits, you dumbass bitch. I don't even get healthcare at this job or enough hours to even pay my fucking rent. That is $3,000 for a studio, not even in a city environment. My closest grocery store is still like 30 minutes away, and our transportation system is a piece of shit, and you take half my paycheck in taxes. That's why they're not doing it. That's why they're not complying. That's why they're not going along to get along. There's no incentive to do so. Are y'all listening to them?
No.
Or are y'all just
they're
calling them
not.
dumb and young?
Yeah. That
The
right
same
there.
thing that the generations before us did to us. Now, do I agree that there should be like decorum, rules in the workplace? Absolutely.
Sure, yeah,
but those
whatever.
workplaces are no longer holding up their end of the bargain. You as managers, you just get your paycheck and go home like everybody else. Why do y'all feel like they gotta go above and beyond for these salaries that are not livable?
For what?
It's actually kind of cruel. It's cruel to ask them to give up so many hours of their day and a piece of who they are every day, a piece of their soul getting chipped off, and at the very least, they can't even pay their fucking rent. That's cruel. And all y'all doing is getting into a place of position and passing down a buck of cruelty and pain. I hear y'all, Gen Z. We should be moving towards a radical acceptance of human life, a value of our brothers and sisters and our neighbors and our friends and our colleagues and our workplaces and the jobs that we do in a way that truly change the tides so that everybody can have access to resources.
Yeah, you would think.
Y'all have grown to truly believe that it is a privilege to give your productivity, to give the essence of your life, and to give every dollar that you ever make to be abused by this system. And I don't think Gen Z is buying into that same framework. So I think that we either choose their side and get alongside arm in arm with these young people, or really you might have to get the fuck out of the way, because they've made it very loud and clear the type of future that they want for this world. And if you don't hear them and understand the protest that's happening from that age group, then you might get ran over like by a bullet train, because I don't think they fucking playing.
No.
I really feel bad.
I've done the late nights, I've done the 80-hour work weeks.
It's just not something that's worth it for me.
The way that I have lived my life, if I keep working hard enough, then I'll have my big break.
You can work and you can work and work and work and you're still gonna maybe retire.
Gen Z sets more boundaries than any generation. Millennials are the most burned out. We brought them face to face to find out why.
It's harder for Gen Z to succeed at work than for millennials. In or out in 3, 2, 1.
When I think about Gen Z in the workforce, why I think they have a harder time, every day AI exists is the worst it's ever going to be. It just keeps getting better and better, and it gets better fast. A lot of the companies in my network, the jobs that they're trying to use AI to replace are more the entry-level jobs. They're the jobs where people used to get their foot in the door and like learn a skill and pay their dues so that they could then get promoted and work their way up into a career. And a lot of those entry-level jobs are starting to disappear. I think that those are some really unique obstacles that no other generation has faced.
Just from a political perspective, because I work in government, I'm an elected official, I would say that the climate of the world that we're in is a lot more susceptible to change than it was for millennials in the 2010s. There's a lot more dissatisfaction with the status quo, and I think Gen Z, for the most part, I think we're going to be able to tap into that. I think that's an advantage that Gen Z has, especially over millennials.
I just think about some of my close friends who are trying to enter the workforce, who are trying to get a good, solid job. It has been a fight for them. Like, it is so hard for them to get second interviews just because based on their resume, based on the experience, I think with having COVID as our beginning into the workforce, I think that kind of put us at a disadvantage.
Gen Z expects too much from their employers. In or out in 3, 2, 1.
My kids, they often need to be told exactly what to do. And I feel like even as a mom at home, they're always needing me to tell them, like, spell it out for them. And I think as somebody who owns a business and employs people, I definitely prefer somebody who can kind of just take the initiative and not have to be told everything to do.
Wait. Okay, so you want a mind reader? I thought you had to, like, tell people what you want them to do, or else it's kind of your fault if they don't do it right.
As a mom of Gen Zers, what have you done to teach your kids to take initiative and not have to be told everything? Like, I think a lot of times we're like, oh, this generation.
You mean communication? I'm calling myself out here, by the way. I can be kind of a poor communicator. Anyway.
Is lazy, but like the parents are the people who are teaching the generation how they should show up.
We're new to the world to some degree, right? There's concepts, there's things that we're not quite familiar with that I think we're going to ask about them, and we're not going to know how to do it straight out of the gate.
One of the greatest lessons that I've learned being on both sides of being employed and being an employer is it really comes down to making and becoming what you want to be as an employee. If you really want to grow, put in the work and increase your skill set. And I'll be happy to invest in you and help you grow. I'm not necessarily going to throw it out there if you're not necessarily showing the initiative.
I understand where you guys are coming from, but every generation needs somebody to mentor them and show them the ropes. Nobody comes into the workforce knowing what to do. And it is nice to have somebody who already knows how to do the job. But if you're going to hire a Gen Zer, you're going to hire somebody who's young and typically maybe less expensive because they have less experience, it's your job to train them.
I believe that working harder can solve most of my financial problems. In or out in 3, 2, 1.
I'm over here because personal experience, the more that I worked and invested into myself and my business, it has been a gradual increase in how much I make.
I work 2 jobs right now. From my own experience, I will never be able to own a house on my own, even on that income. I could pick up more shifts and I'm still never going to be able to reach that amount. It requires some sort of structural societal change.
By design, the minimum wage was meant to be able to support a minimum lifestyle, but it just doesn't do that.
I feel like growing up and to this day, there's a really strong message that everybody's just a few steps away from being like a multimillionaire.
There's a lot of people who have that same mindset of, oh, it's just turn the corner and you'll become a millionaire, whatever, right?
For sure.
And how many of us in this room are millionaires?
I know deep down in my core that it's a really garbage thing to believe, but if I'm honest with myself, the way that I have lived my life, if I keep working hard enough, that I'll have my big break, and that won't happen if I stop working.
You can work and you can work and work and work and you're still gonna maybe retire. That's the way that the world works now. You see how many old people working at Walmart or Target. Ultimately, if you're not either lucky or have some sort of intelligence about you, you're not going to be able to pull off everything you want to do. So hard work doesn't always pay off, frankly. But
let me ask you this question.
I'm going to change to the work smarter, not harder group.
That's okay. Let me ask this question. How much of success do you think is hard work, and how much of it do you think is luck?
Like if you want to be in the top 5 to 10% of income earners, like it really is luck. But yeah, I don't want to be rich. I just want to make enough money to support myself and the people in my life.
Do you feel like Gen Z has more of a mentality of like, we just work to live? Whereas millennials, I know the way I was raised, it was like, oh, you work to level up your life. It's like you work so you can have a bigger house and you can go on nicer vacations and then you can retire and be really comfortable. And it's like, it sounds like what you're saying is like, as long as I have food on my table and a roof over my head, I'm gonna...
Yeah, I mean, and money to buy fun things. There's more to life than work.
I've done the late nights. I've done the 80-hour work weeks.
That's just not something.
Yeah, I think that kind of sums it up for sure.
Days where the cross hung on every wall and Jesus' name was spoken like a language that I learned early. My parents led, the church doors stayed open, and faith was always near. Close enough to touch, but for a long time, not close enough to hold me. I knew how to sing the songs, stand on stage, lift my hands at the right time. I was saved young, but living on routine. Showing up without surrender. Knowing about him, but not knowing him. So, when the world got louder, I listened. I searched for worth in reflections, in boys' attention, friendships that shifted, likes and mirrors and approval.
No.
I looked confident on the surface, but inside I was unraveling. Quietly drowning in loneliness, depression, insecurity, trying to fill a God-sized void with temporary praise. Then came love that wasn't love at all, an abusive relationship that pulled me farther from the light. Instead of running to Jesus, I ran away, shouldering my pain, trying to be my own savior. But even in my distance, he never stopped chasing me. Senior year, in a room full of worship, a conference called Passion, and a presence I couldn't ignore. I didn't surrender everything that night, but I felt him again. I realized he had never left. That moment became a turning point, the beginning of a slow, holy return, step by step, inch by inch. Then college, miles away from home, far from community, back into old patterns. Approval wore new faces, parties, drinking, relationships, performance. I gave pieces of myself away, and some were taken from me. I confused lust for love, and found myself in places where boundaries were crossed, leaving me traumatized, abused, and broken. My lowest moment came quietly, alone in my bed, covered in shame, convinced I was too far gone, that I had done too much and fallen beyond redemption. but that's where Jesus met me. Not with condemnation, but with mercy. Not with shame, but with grace. And when I couldn't carry myself, he carried me. The Spirit whispered truth in my wreckage, that the cross had already covered my sin, my pain, my story. The grace was louder than my past and stronger than what had been done to me. The next morning, I got up. I went to a church that had been praying for me before I even knew I needed it. And I surrendered. Not just the polished parts, but the messy, aching, hidden ones. I stopped trying to save myself, and I let Jesus be my Savior. A week later, I stepped into the water. A public yes, a burial of the old me, a declaration that my life belonged fully to Him. No turning back, I'm all in. Since then, He has been healing me. Slowly, gently, faithfully. I still carry scars, but they don't speak of defeat. They speak of survival. They tell the story of a God who restores what is broken and wastes nothing, not even pain. Now I know my worth isn't found in approval, relationships, or performance. It was secured on the cross, that Jesus saved my life, and He still carries me through every valley. I am fully known, fully loved, and completely held. My story stands as proof that even when we run, Jesus pursues, and even when we fall, grace is enough, and even in the valley, He is the one that will carry us through.
Man, I love the way the golden hour was making the cross on her necklace shine. That was cool. that was cool.
To stop thinking that we're lazy, because nobody wants to work anymore these days. See, it ain't that we don't want to put the work in, but nobody wants to go working at these jobs where you literally work just for a capped paycheck. No, if I'm going to be putting the grind in, getting my hustle on, I want to be able to stay up all night. I want to lose sleep. I want to miss out for the sake of one day being able to put out something, a service or something, and become a millionaire. That's my type of work. So no, nobody wants to work anymore these days for the bare absolute minimum. It's simple. I don't care what anybody says. There is no way in the world that you could knock content creation, YouTubers, these influencers. You can't knock the hustle. Because it's not that they don't have to hustle and put the grind in as well. But you cannot tell me that it is not rewarded. Let me just tell you something. $50,000 used to be the I made it status. $50,000 a year used to be the I made it. Do you know how much money these people are bringing in? If you ask me, I'm going to tell you that the type of work somebody does is what turns them into a lazy person. Work for the rest of your life doing something that doesn't make sense, that doesn't make you happy, and most definitely ain't making you no money. And see, don't you end up lazy because it makes you not want to do nothing. We go to work all day, unhappy at these jobs that don't pay us that much.
And that's why we got a generation of people who want to judge you and say all type of stuff, but they've been spending years of their life doing nothing but watching TV. Come on now. Leave me alone.
Much money, and then we come home and we're drained. So no, we're not lazy. People just don't want to do certain type of work anymore.